Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. One of my favorite, and in my opinion, one of the most prescient American presidents, Dwight Eisenhower, once said that the search for a scapegoat is the easiest of all hunting expeditions. The truth of this statement is on stark display these days in the almost comical, but potentially dangerous campaign being run by someone hoping to don the mantle of that great man. It is something which is currently the source of much dismay and hand-flailing amongst many, but especially amongst us American Muslims. We should be rightfully concerned and ensure that our voices register through the free exercise of our vote. But it should also remind us that for the past half-century, scapegoating and conspiracy theories have tended to be the favorite pastime of Muslims in general and Pakistanis in particular. We have made an art of finding excuses for everything that is wrong in the Muslim world, instead of looking inward for solutions. I am reminded of a quote from my favorite poet, Jalaluddin Rumi, who so eloquently said, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself." Allow me to make the connection between why we are here today and the dilemma that I just outlined. I surmise that we wallow deep in nostalgia for the long-lost golden age of Muslim preeminence, mostly because we have little of our own doing to be proud of. We forget that while it might have been religious fervor to spread the message of Islam throughout the world that led the ragtag Muslim armies to overcome the powerful Persian and Byzantine empires, it was ultimately the egalitarian message of Islam that won over converts. We should remind ourselves that these vast conquests were sustainable only because of the by and large just and capable governance that secured the acquiescence of those who elected not to convert. That egalitarian spirit and anything remotely resembling just and capable governance does not unfortunately exist today in Muslim lands. More importantly, it should be recognized that it was that environment of stability and tolerance, coupled with the pioneering spirit of those early Muslims, that resulted in the great intellectual blooming of the 9th through 13th centuries, which became the engine for progress and prosperity, and which ultimately the West adopted and built the European Renaissance upon. As one of many examples, it was Ibn al-Haytham who propounded the scientific method 250 years before Roger Bacon wrote his treatise on the subject. I intentionally chose this example for the seminal influence it had on scientific progress in the Muslim world, in the modern world, sorry. And in the past century, the entire Muslim world, which comprises 20% of the world's population, has produced only 2 Nobel laureates in the sciences. So why am I lamenting this sorry state of affairs and making you feel bad? I'm doing so because, in my humble opinion, it is the root cause of the many problems that today afflict the Muslim world in general, and Pakistan in particular. The corrupt and decadent elites have made short shrift of the basic Islamic values of equality before the law and protection of the weak and needy. Consequently, the masses feel completely disenfranchised and impotent. There is seething anger amongst this mostly illiterate mass of humanity. And as President Eisenhower said, anger cannot win. It cannot even think clearly. And surely, the opportunistic mullahs and the other so-called torchbearers of Islam have tapped into this anger and convinced many a gullible soul that the cause of all of their troubles is modernity and the West. They have brainwashed the youth into believing that life is unimportant and that they should use their own precious bodies as bombs to destroy everyone who disagrees. The beautiful Islamic teaching of living a good life, a life of service to your fellow man to ensure a happy outcome in the hereafter, has been turned on its head into Blow yourself up and kill as many as you can, and you will enter paradise. There is an urgent need for a strong counter-narrative. Islam teaches patience and perseverance, not the taking of innocent lives. But it is not an inactive patience of sitting on our hands either, but of patiently working towards a good outcome. As Rumi so beautifully said, patience does not mean to passively endure. It means to be far-sighted enough to trust the end result of a process. It means to look at the thorn and see the rose, to look at the night and see the dawn. Ladies and gentlemen, that counter-narrative, the promise of dawn, is to go back to the basics, to the very first revealed word of the Quran, Iqra, read. The pursuit of knowledge for one's own good and for the wider good of humanity is a fundamental duty of every Muslim. Therefore, the only sane and long-term solution is to educate the illiterate masses. I am convinced that education holds the answer to most of the ills currently pervading Pakistani society, including extremism, intolerance, bigotry, and injustice. It offers hope in the face of despair for countless millions of kids who have been neglected by successive governments. Those of us that have been blessed with the ability to effect positive change have a responsibility to do what we can. As Allama Iqbal said, "Tar baashnae khorosh ho, tu nawa hai, mehr mein gosh ho, wo surood kya ke chupa hua ho, sakoot-e parda-e saaz mein." Know the pleasure of tumult, thou art a tune, consort with the ear. What is that melody worth which hides itself in the silent chords of the heart? And thus, the Citizens Foundation came into being when 5 successful businessmen in Karachi said, "Enough," and started a silent revolution by building the first 5 schools. I had the good fortune of meeting 3 of the founders of TCF in Houston a few weeks ago, and hearing their story has energized me to a higher level. It reminded me of a beautiful quote from Edmund Burke: "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." To which I would respectfully add, good women. Mr. Burke spoke in the 18th century and could be forgiven the omission, but I can't. On their part, TCF has made sure that boys and girls are treated equally, as they should be. And the good women of TCF are the ones who, for the past 21 years, have been teaching and illuminating the lives of hundreds of thousands of children in Pakistan. The vision of the founders has become a reality that has surpassed even their expectations. Over 1,300 schools with an enrollment of almost 200,000 children from the most impoverished parts of Pakistan. That vision has spawned such remarkable success stories as Iqra Salim and her siblings, who are all TCF graduates and are extremely successful in their chosen fields. You will be hearing from Iqra in a few minutes. They say, nothing succeeds like success. I cannot think of a more fitting example than Iqra. They also say that we should dream big, and so the new goal is to increase enrollment to over 1 million children in TCF schools. That will require our renewed support and dedication to this cause. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the choices are very clear. Do we allow the Taliban's narrative to define us, or the TCF story? Do we waste our time longing for a fabled past, or go back to the basics and build a bright new future? The answers are obvious. I will leave you with this image and thought to ponder. When I see a smile on a TCF student's face, it reminds me of a beautiful verse of the Holy Quran, which the Qari also recited before this. The likeness of those who spend their wealth in Allah's way is as the likeness of a grain which groweth 7 ears, in every ear 100 grains. Imagine the multiplication of this beautiful smile thousands of times as a direct result of what you do today, and I bet it will put the most heartfelt smile on your face. Because as Rumi said, when you do things from your soul, you feel a river moving in you, a joy. May the river always move in you, and may you be filled with the endless joy of giving. Thank you.